Good morning on this it's a beautiful summer day, and I am pulling weeds. Those tall weeds that are full of seeds. I'm hand pulling them, and it's such beautiful, meditative, quiet work, and it affords me awareness of my feelings, of my thoughts. And I was thinking, what a beautiful liberation it is to finally be free from the tapes of indoctrination that were playing in my mind for the past 40 years almost. Actually 50 years. I can honestly say for 50 years I have not been allowed the freedom and the liberty of my own thoughts. I was so indoctrinated. Christian indoctrinated. And recently, I came across another Christian person on Facebook, and they repeat and parrot everything that I used to say verbatim. And they are so convinced they are in the truth. But sadly, and I'm not being unkind, I'm being realistic and true. Sadly, they are so indoctrinated that they don't know. They don't know anything else. They were drip fed with an IV drip of Bible and Bible and Bible. And that indoctrination is what then gets rooted in the subconscious, in the conditioning, in the programming. And why do I say it? Because it's verbatim. It's verbatim of what I had, what I repeated. And there was just no room for original thought, or there was no room for even stillness. Those Bible tapes, those Christian indoctrination tapes, those thoughts were constantly churning in my mind. And like I said, as I was pulling weeds, it was quiet. No other man's opinion or thought or theology was circulating through my mind, framing my daily experience. It was quiet, beautiful stillness, and I just felt into that, how liberating, how freeing it is. And people, I don't want to say that the belief in Jesus doesn't liberate people. It does liberate people from fears, from weaknesses. It feels good to have Jesus in your corner to give you the psychological stability and strength. I'm not denying that that isn't working. I'm just saying that there are other levels of freedom, other levels of liberation that surpass Jesus. In fact, that you would need to leave Jesus behind to experience that peace, right? And it is peaceful to not even have Jesus constantly interrupt your stillness with channeled messages. There's days where I would just say, shut the F up and don't always interrupt my stillness, right? I mean, the spirits, the departed ones, the guides, they don't have a right to come barging in. They don't have a right to interrupt your life, your quietness, right? And I do not call on guides as a rule anymore, because everything, I have access to the same field in which the guides live. And but let me come back to my point. The beautiful liberation of not having to think and believe a certain way, of just being able to be with my own thoughts or with no thoughts, right? I am allowed to be, to think anything I want to think. It doesn't have to conform to anyone else's thinking, and that is the beauty. That's the freedom. That's the liberty. And you won't know what it's like until you're finally free from all the indoctrination. Then you will know what I'm talking about. I know as Christians, all we knew to do was to think in Bible verses. I mean, that's so ridiculous, really. That is programming, conditioning, and indoctrination. You can deny it as much as you want to. You have been indoctrinated culturally and religiously. And even if you claim that you didn't grow up Christian, you didn't have to go to church to be influenced by Christian meaning. If you've ever watched presidential inaugurations, the Bible is everywhere, and subconsciously you're absorbing that the meaning that the Bible represents God and truth. And so subconsciously, even though you've never been to church, subconsciously you have absorbed the Christian culture, and that is everywhere. Well, Sparky says I better quit. All right. Bye for now.